just get your mind together and come on across to me.
Now it's interesting how things work out. You'll notice that this book arrived in the middle of my video last time, and I ordered, well, I thought always get the two names mixed up. There's Edward Weston and Edward Steichen, and they're both great photographers, but one's greater than the other. And Edward Steichen is the greatest photographer probably that the world has known, I would say. And Edward Weston was a pretty good photographer too. His technique was good, and I don't feel as good as Steichen. Steichen was phenomenal, and but Edward Weston aspired more to technical excellence, and Steichen was more of a vision man. He had a very strong, powerful vision of the world as he saw it. And both of these men used a light meter to try to accurately capture and understand the light in the image that they were trying to capture. And this is the best light meter that was ever made, really, the Lunar 6. And I picked one up for historical purposes, and also because they're cheap. You know, very expensive objects, these, when they were new. And you can pick them up now. I think this was about £20 less, I think. And yet there's a catch with these meters, is that you can't buy the batteries anymore, so you have to buy quite an expensive battery thing, and it's not the exact voltage either, though I don't think that matters much. So I did get a bit caught with that, and I've had to buy some batteries, so I haven't got this working yet. But the idea of getting this was because I want to put a film through this camera over here, and maybe one or two of the others, and I want to be able to, you know, do the old light metering like I used to in the old days, because it's always good to exercise your brain with all the things we did. I took a picture. This is funny. Today we're going to be talking about the decisive moment a bit more, because today this was sitting on the table here with these glasses and that, and I noticed the light come through, and in a special way. It only comes through, the light only comes through like that at a certain time of the day. And the quality of the light depends on the clouds outside, of course. And so this was just captured in the light, and so I'll put a picture up of what I took of the Lunar 6. Now, I was a bit quick and ready. I should have cleaned up the table a bit more, but you know, it was just really, it was an exercise really. I didn't know why I did it, and I was a bit more casual than what I normally am with pictures like this. I did it quickly. And there's a lot of spots on the image and things like that, so maybe it's so that I can point that out to you. Anyway, to get back to the decisive moment. So, I was doing my video, rendering my video, and what am I going to do when I render my video? I've tried editing and doing other videos whilst my video is rendering, but my computer, it can handle it, but it doesn't handle it as well as if you just let it render and finish and then use the computer again. So I thought, well, I need to get some milk. I went and had a look at the fridge. I need cheese, I need milk. That was pretty well it. So I got my coat on, and I said, well, do I take anything with me? She said, yeah, take the phone. So I put the phone in the pocket. And out I went, and you know, it's like this time of the day, it's kind of between night time and daytime, is a rather wonderful time to take photographs. And as I got down the road, I realised there was a lot of people around. It is a Saturday today, and so, but there seemed to be more people than usual. And then when I got into the main street, I realised that they were putting up the Christmas lights for the first time, and the lights were up, but they hadn't turned them on. So the photographs I was taking, if I took any, were going to be without the lights, because when they turn the lights on, it's going to be dark then, and you're just going to get pictures of lights, and we've seen these pictures of lights. I've taken pictures of lights before, and you know, this isn't as interesting as what was going on before the lights went down, because what was happening is all the people were gathered in the street, and lots of people, and the shopkeepers, and I know one or two of the shopkeepers, and the shops were lit up wonderfully, and the people, they all had their colourful clothes on, and there was loads of them. And so this is an ideal opportunity to do the type of photography that Henry Cartier-Bresson and Tony Ray Jones are famous for. And that is to work with a lot of figures in the frame, to fill the frame with figures, and out of this come up with startling compositions. And one thing I've learned is the greatest pictures are the ones where the extremities of the frame are, everything's pushed to the limits, and you've got so many things happening, and all the extremities of the frame are filled with people in action, and tells a wonderful story. And it's probably one of the most difficult types of photography to get on top of. I've done this type of photography my whole life, and I've worked and worked and worked at it, and so I've developed a kind of technique that really seems to work. And the best camera I've had for this, first of all, was the Kodak DC 4800 camera, and then since then the best one I've had, I did quite a bit with these cameras, but they tend to get a bit of camera shake, these ones. I've noticed that the iPhone SE is a wonderful camera for this type of thing, and you can really see what you get, you know, when you actually bring the camera out, especially in this half light. You can see the color, you can see everything on the screen is what you're going to get, and if it looks good, it's going to be good on the iPhone. And so when I got into the street, I found myself pulling my camera out from time to time, and then just getting it ready on the photo, and I'm surrounded with people. The more people there are, the easier it is. If there's only one or two, they know that you're pointing a camera at them. If there's loads of people, they don't know what you're doing, you know, and if they do think you point at the camera, they think, oh, well, maybe you're just taking pictures because it's a newsworthy event, or, you know, people don't care. And the thing is, to be any good at this kind of photography, one has to not care also. One has to be completely lost in the moment of the photograph. And so I haven't done this type of photography for a long time. I did some of it in Herefordshire. Last time I did my main Herefordshire documentary, which was a year or two ago now. And so this is the first time I've done this kind of photography since then. If you're going to document a place, and I'm probably going to be documenting Bromyard, I'll probably be making a photo essay on Bromyard, Christmas at Bromyard probably. And it's necessary to have some pictures of the people in the street, some of the street photography. And so I'm pretty sure I got it tonight. I just went down the whole street and I just took pictures as I went along. Now, some of these pictures, with the iPhone, you can fairly rapidly take pictures. So once you get it lined up, or your composition lined up, you're working with the background objects in the frame, and you know, the buildings and the streets and the lights and whatever, and then you're working with the groups of people in the frame, and then these groups of people all moving and crossing over each other, and so you can't really, you can only try for the decisive moment. And so what you do is you kind of feel it, you go tsh, 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 as you feel it, each one. And so sometimes I may only take one or two, sometimes only one. Sometimes I may take 20 or 30 in one spot in just a minute of photography. And when I stop, I stop. When I stop, I feel I must have got it, otherwise I'd be carrying on. And so I'm going to lead you through the exciting time I had taking photographs. I'm not going to show you all of them because it'd be too much, but I'll show you a few where there's a miss. I'll try and pick out some close misses and then show you the hits, and so you can see my working method. Okay, here goes. Okay, well, those were the final pictures that came out of the photo shoot. There's 15 in total finished final images out of probably, I don't know how many I took, maybe 50, something like this, out of 80 photographs. And so that's probably a pretty good rate actually of to get 15 photographs out of one session is quite a lot really. And some of the photographs are better than others. Not one photograph of the 15 is up to my highest standard. I would reject all 15 of them, in fact, working at that standard. Yet some of them are close, and so I've included them all. You can make your own judgment as to what you think I captured. Now, when I got home, after I made the first part of this video that you just watched, I spent probably most of the evening editing the photographs, going through them and trying to choose the right pictures. And this can be the most difficult part of the photography, is editing and choosing the right images. And I've even looked at, through books like Walker Evans' book here, where he's cropped certain pictures and chosen certain pictures, and I've looked at his, and in here there's actually some examples of a number of negatives made, and I've seen ones that he's actually missed. And I used to find when I was at art school, I used to get my lecturer to look through my pictures, and he'd find loads of pictures that I'd missed, and I printed some other lesser picture, and there were actually better ones of the same photo shoot, the same composition. And so what I'm going to do now is go through some of the pictures and show you where there's a number of different images and how I chose the final picture, why I chose the one that I chose out of a number of possibilities. Okay, we'll look at that now. Okay, now the first picture is really a picture of the ancient almshouses, and it's really just to set the scene because we're now just walking into the photo shoot, and so it's good to have one picture that takes in more of an overall scene and where the people are small. And you'll see there's a car coming into the picture, there's some people walking down the street. In the corner there's, right at the end of the road there's somebody just stepping across the pavement, and there's an interesting conversation going on here. But none of this is overpowering the main subject, which is the almshouses and the actual town itself. Now there was another picture, I took two pictures, and that second picture you'll see the cars move forward now, and now it's just become a picture of a car really. And so this is how, as things move in the picture, so the importance of one thing overpowers the importance of the other. So this is a miss as far as I'm concerned, so we go back and we accept this picture. Now if we blow up the crowd, we have to just check to make sure we've got the main subject is of interest, and you can see we've captured an intimate conversation here between a lady and a gentleman, and the third party is looking down, and the figure, the feet is good, everything's good, there's nothing wrong with the composition, it's an interesting group. If we have a look at the end of the street here, we'll see that we have also, everything's in order, it's an interesting group. Now if we move on to the next photo, we haven't moved very far, we've just turned the corner, and now we're concentrating on the evening sky, and the scene is now lit more from the back, and you'll see that there's the group has now grown, it's no longer just the three people standing there, it's another group of three, another group of two, so there's three, three and two on that side. And on the other side there's a lady with a dog, and you'll see we've actually caught a puff of smoke. Now if we have a look at this picture, we can see first of all the group is working on the left hand side, and towards the end of the street there's another interesting movement of people, a child running across, following another child. And so this is a nice end to the composition. You'll see there's a number of people here with backs against us, walking away from us, and the lady walking towards us with a puff of smoke with the dog. This is perfect. This one is perfect. Now, if we have a look at the second one I took, you'll see that things have moved on a bit, and the lady, the puff of smoke is gone, and although the other side is becoming more, the other side is more dynamic, more interesting perhaps, the other side, yet our subject has now moved from one side of the street to the other, and so the lady has just become a bit of a dog really, and so and the action at the end of the street has dissolved a little bit. So whilst this is a good picture too, I don't feel that it's as good a picture as the one with the smoke in it. So I'm going to go with the one with the smoke as my final image. Okay, now moving forward to the next one. Okay, this was very, very difficult, this one, to choose. In fact, the first one's a pretty good picture too. And if we move forward through them, we'll see this one's a bit of a miss. Nothing much going on in this, apart from the man in the yellow here. And now this is the one I chose. You'll see what I liked about this picture was the child, it captured the child, it's a portrait of the child amongst the crowd. I feel it's saying more this than the other pictures, and also I like the fact that we've got some foreground, the picture is becoming much more three-dimensional, and so I like this picture more than the other ones. Okay, now moving on to the next image. This one was very difficult to pick. You'll see that on the left-hand corner, this particular picture is lost. The left-hand corner is lost because what I'm trying to get on the left-hand corner, it says here, fast. What does it say? Past and present, pay for your goods. Bromyard, past and present, pays for your goods. Bromyard, past and present, pays for your goods. And so the one I kept in this instance was the lady with a smile on her face, because I felt in the end that that was the most enjoyable picture to look at, and it was the only one where the Bromyard, past and present, pays for your goods is actually in exact and perfect alignment, as we'll see as we go through these ones. And I felt that the guy with the phone walking through just spoiled all of them. It was just like too much. And you'll see in the one I chose, he's just walking out of the edge of the picture, and so he's gone. So that's the one I kept in this case. Now moving on, we have the Petifa's scene, and there's a number of, as action is moving through the screen, you'll see that we have the ladies pushing the prams moving through the frame, and the man with the lady on his arm, he's also kind of coming into the frame. And I felt this one, with the face of the child looking towards us and in the corner, I felt this one just got it best. And there's also another child in pink here, and this figure with the father and child is also very good. So there's nothing in this picture that I'm unhappy with. Yeah, I wouldn't call it one of my better pictures. Okay, now what we're trying to get here in this next one is we're trying to get the decorations in the sky and still keep some interesting action going on in the bottom of the picture. So we'll just go through these as they develop. Now you'll see this walking into the picture, there's a lady and a child, and the next picture you'll see that the child's beautiful hair is picked out by the light. And so this one, I like this picture for that. And so checking on all of the other components of the picture, everything seemed to work. And so this picture is the one I chose in this case. You'll see there's a second picture, but it's missed it really. And the third picture. Very, very hard to pick these ones. Okay, now we move to the next composition, and I hit this with the first one. You'll see there's a gentleman looking up, sort of towards me, looking at the lady, and there's a group here, quite a good group. And across the way there's the guys who put the sign up in Yemo, but right on the corner here we have this lady in the doorway, and if we look above you'll see that there's also people in the window at the top there, and so this one gets my vote, and the other ones were the lady on the right hand side got cropped out, and so there's only two pictures there that I took. Okay, now moving on. Here again, the first picture is often a hit because this is the one that you're actually going for. So you'll see in this one that there's the two out of focus people, one working one way, one working the other way. We have this lady with the beautiful hair here, and of course the glue line is making the picture interesting. And so what I didn't like about this picture was that the man's face was chopped off here, and so if we move forward we'll see he's still chopped off, the man's face is still chopped off, and now we've caught him a little bit, we've caught the face, and so this is the one that I chose as my final image, and it's debatable whether this picture or the first one is the better picture, but because his face is chopped I found that so disturbing that I've chosen this one. Right, now we move on to the next picture. We've got number 8 on Broad Street, and the first picture is a little bit unsharp, so we're going to skip that one, and it's a bit empty on the left hand side. Then we've got another picture with there's 3 other figures just walking out of frame. This is balanced. We have to make sure that our main subject doesn't get lost here, because this is the main subject is the man. He's the owner of the shop, and he's in the black with the shirt sticking out the back and the bald head, and he's a rather interesting character, probably the most interesting character in Bromyard, and a very nice gentleman too. And so we moved through, we took a few, and so we have this one here is not quite doing it for me. Now we've got a little girl coming in on the left hand side. This one is very tight, very, very tight indeed, and so we have to have a look at the faces. We'll see that we've got the man in black and his 2 accompanying people on the right, part of the shop I think, and there's not much going on here. And then we go to the next one, and this one is the one I chose because we have more interesting relationship between the 3 figures around the car, and they're also looking down towards 3 figures going on the other side of the frame. So this is the one I actually chose. There were others. It became interesting as this other lady appeared in the picture. We'll move through it. But in all cases we lost our main subject. So whilst they're interesting pictures in themselves, our main subject is gone, and so we have to. This one was particularly nice, yet the man looked down and is not as, you can't see his profile as well. Okay, now I took about 20 photographs of this next scene. It was quite difficult as everybody's moving around, and so we'll go through some of them. The second picture is the keeper. The first picture, then the second picture is the keeper, and then we made all these other pictures trying to capture it perfectly, yet in every case there was something wrong with somebody else. There's always good pictures, good things coming into frame, but we're losing other things. And so You can see the difficulty with this many people, this close up. It's just changing constantly. Okay, now we come to a group at the particular important place, corner if you like, of the town, and there's an interesting group here drinking what's probably glühwein or something like this, and there's the crowds moving through, and so the light is lovely here, and the buildings and the interesting shops, and so it's just a matter of finding the one that works. This one isn't too bad, you know, this one, the first one, and the second one is a little bit more. You'll see the two guys in yellow, they're interesting to watch their movement. Now you see the third one, now this guy's standing out, and so I feel this one has more dynamics in it. You can also see the reflection in the window of those yellow coats. It's quite good in this one too, and the best in fact in this one. And then as they exit the frame, they're right on the limits of the frame. This is also okay, but I think we've lost our dynamics with the two men in the yellow coats. So you see another one, just, we found that picture. Okay, now the next picture I probably took about 30 of this. It's, there's so many people involved here, and I'm interested in the dog and the little girls, and so let's just have a look at some of the pictures that we got. These are all misses. Now we get our keeper. This is our keeper, and so we have the little girl looking. The man looking back across the frame, the dog looking, the couple walking into the frame from the right hand side. We've got the group of four, also interesting, the younger of them is nicely portrayed of them, and you'll see that the picture itself, the scene is wonderful with the white and the darker sky and the three. It's a nice picture, and so I'm happy this is a keeper. There were many others, but they just, nothing made it. Now, we got back to number 8, because when I got back to number 8, the gentleman was facing me, so I said to him, I said, can I take a picture of you? In this case, I did this because I wanted to get him as best I could close up. And the first one you see, slightly, there's camera shake and camera movement in the people here. The second one was my keeper, and this one I felt had the most character in him. Notice his shadow is nice, gives the shape of his body, and his friend who's with him is also nicely portrayed there. And the movement out of the frame. Now, you might go on to the next one, you say, well, this one's even better. Look, we've got the dog and we've got all this, but you know, we've lost him. He's not as good in this one as he was in the, not quite as good as he was in the previous one. And the dog says it's a dog, and so then I'm going to take the one where the lady's walking out of the frame. I think this one just does it for me. And this is probably the best photo of the shoot, in my opinion. It has got the most content, and we put number 8 is a really important shop, and it's got that really important pub down the road there, a very important corner, and it's captured a portrait of the people in a very nice way. Okay, now the last shot was actually the first shot I took, so as in the beginning, so in the end. I put it at the end because it seemed like a good closing shot, driving out of the photo shoot. That's the only reason I included it. Okay, that's our little photo shoot. I hope you enjoyed it, and I enjoyed taking the pictures. I enjoyed, well, not so much editing them. Editing them was a really major exercise and a very difficult edit, and so many pictures to work through, more than I showed. And yeah, so I hope you got some idea of my working methods. It's now probably quite a long video, and so I'm going to leave it at that. And you've got a taste for photojournalism, what photojournalism is, how it's undertaken, and you pretty well don't need any other information about it. That is photojournalism, and it's a matter of many, many pictures and many attempts at the same shot, and you can see how the composition is understood. We're not just shooting at anything, we're shooting at to a certain composition, and we're hoping that the people in the frame will cooperate and come into alignment, and that nature will help us make a masterpiece and in combination with our own, because we're not separate from nature. Nature is part of us, and nature is the one that's taking the pictures, not me. It's not me who takes the pictures. I am just moving like in the ballet, and part of the ballet of the town, and the pictures are just being made as a matter of course, because perhaps it's important to document Bromyard. Who knows what will happen to these pictures? I don't know. They're on YouTube now, and so I'm sure one day the Bromyard people will find these pictures. They may find them interesting because there's probably no other person working in Bromyard, some little place, at this kind of level really of photography. Okay, thanks for watching.
You can just get your mind together and come on across to me. We'll hold hands and we'll watch the sunrise from the bottom of the sea.